One thing about you, you're always spewing knowledge and profound words. Right? So we don't want our Vuga Nation to miss one of those. But yeah, can you just let us know into what are we looking into, man, right now? What is it that people are suffering from when we're looking at making sure that you keep up with who you are and never lose yourself in the journey?
You know, I think the greatest question that everybody asks if every time is that who are you? Who am I? You know, if I say I'm Saki Padi, that's my name. It's not me.
Yes.
You know, one of my children, I was thinking the other day that he did not have a name for 4 hours after he was born, because you still have to call Gogo to give the child a name.
Yes.
So before you give him a name, who was he? You know, before he had a name. You know, he was not even a Christian yet. He did not know anything. You know what I mean? He's not even Tswana. He doesn't even know his preferences. You know what I mean? So when you start to ask yourself, who are you? You know, you're not asking your name, because if you're asking your name, it's just a name. It's yours. And then still, who are you? You know? So every time you have to go back to find out who exactly are we? You know, and through life's things, you start to learn preferences from parents. So if a child is born still without a name and we take him to Germany from South Africa, you know, he will speak German and he will experience his life from that end of the world. Right, so everything that we are, it's not what we have. You're not even your body. You know, your body seems to be a container because it's yours. You know, and things that are ours are maybe things that we control. And while asking ourselves who we are, we always say, "This is my life. I can live it the way that I want to live it." Right, and maybe you are right, but if it's your life, it's not true, because do you have control over your heartbeat? I mean, if you have control, I'd ask you to make your heart to stop beating now. You know, or are you in control of a digestive system? You know what I mean? You just eat when you know, they digest. Who's digesting them? What system is at play here? You know what I mean? You have no control even over your own body. 2 months ago, I collapsed in the house, you know, and that's what almost changed my life, because I had no control over my body. All of a sudden, I've been living thinking that I have control over, but I don't. You know, your body and you can live this world at any given time because they have no control. So I think what everybody struggles with, including myself, and all their lives, is who are you? And the next question is, what are you here for? And you can't know what you're here for if you don't know who are you.
I love that opening to this beautiful segment, because today we will be speaking on failure. And failure is a word that stings, right? But what if we told you that failure isn't the opposite of success, but it's part of it? So today on our Monday motivation segment with Saki Padi, a bold voice in youth development, leadership, and purpose-driven entrepreneurship, Saki believes that failure is fuel for growth, and he's here to help us flip the script on how we see our setbacks. So if you've ever failed, felt stuck, or questioned your path, this one's for you. So now let's talk about failing forward. So let's start with the real. When was the last time you failed at something big?
I think probably this morning I failed. It does not have to be big. You know what I mean? It's big to me. I mean, why, you know, we have to say something is big, small, depends, right? So I failed because I didn't go to gym this morning. You know what I mean? So I failed at what I've promised myself. You know, so but tomorrow I have an opportunity to try again. Right? Tomorrow I actually have an opportunity to correct that. So every day we fail. You know, if you talk about failure, I failed so many times in my life, and I'm sure even when I was born, you know, as a child, right? So as a child, before you start to walk, you will fail so many times.
Yes.
Right. So many times as a child, you fail walk. But do you stop and say that I'm not going to do this anymore? I'm not going to walk anymore, right? So every day we fail, but we keep trying to continue. I mean, a relationship could have failed. Does it mean you have to stop having relationships?
No.
Right? A business failed. Does it mean you don't have to try again?
Yeah.
Right? And I think everybody, whoever was successful, failed so many times. They had to fail. So if you're afraid to fail, you're not going to do anything with your life.
True, and that's what we spoke about today. Remember about perfectionism, because it hinders progress. And one reason or one way that people are afraid or show their a fear of failure is through perfectionism, right? So we often hide failure out of shame. So why do you think that is, especially in African communities or among young people?
I think maybe it's the way that things have been structured. People don't have conversations to understand things like that someone is going to fail, and there's nothing wrong with failure.
Yes.
And you need tools to do that. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, some people don't have an opportunity to listen to Vuga. You know, because someone listening to Vuga now will understand that, you know, failure, it is an opportunity to try again. So every day you're gonna have an opportunity to try again. You know what I mean? So we continue trying until we win. Right? And we fail at everything. You know, if I tell about my failure, I will say the whole day. You know what I mean? But if for example you spoke about shame, you know, that we do that in our culture because no one wants to fail. You know what I mean? It's you need to take the lesson from failure. So that's why I'm saying you need tools, which is, you know, you need a mental strength to deal with failure. You know what I mean? And look at the lesson. Okay, what is it that the universe is trying to teach me? What lesson do I get from here? And the next time you start now from experience. Now you know that the lesson that we're supposed to learn, maybe you started wrong, right? So I'm in a restaurant business, and I've started years back, right? Over 10 years now, and every time, you know, there'll be new challenges. It doesn't mean we have failed. Right? If we failed, failure is when you stop trying. Right? So if you stop trying something, then you have failed. Right? But if you wake up the following day to start again, so we've been in one place, challenge there, we decided to close. Have we failed? We have not failed when we open another one, right? So we start over with experience, and we go to another one, right? And now we are working on another one. So we continue working on all of these things, because it's if we stop, we have failed. Now today, someone at home, you started a program, a project, you wanted to get a license this year, maybe you failed once, you wanted your relationship with your child to work, or relationship with your family to work, or you started a degree or a course, or you started a gym program, right? And maybe you feel that you have failed because you stopped. And I'm saying, if you start now, you have not failed. If you start again from A, you have not failed. So go back to that diet, go back to that diet, and go back to that program, go back to that you know, so everything or whatever else you can go back to, right? And you have not failed. But if you have stopped,
that's a failure.
That is a failure.
And it's guaranteed it's a failure. There's nothing you can do. You fail. You know, you failed.
You failed. How do we then make a failure our friend? You know, so that we don't feel shame anymore when we fail, but we see it as a stepping stone, you know, to succeed.
A stepping stone to succeed. I think maybe you need to actually look inside yourself to find the strength to look at failure as lessons, right? If you have failed at something, does it make you a failure? Because the thing that gives you shame is when you feel that you are a failure. Like, for example, you had a plan to say that I want my life to be here when I'm 25, when I'm 30. And if you are not there, does that make you a failure? So understanding that failing at something is learning, and that does not make you a failure, right? Right. So you must, for you to not have shame, just know that you are not a failure. You understand? You've succeeded at other things,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
So it's about looking at things holistically as opposed to focusing only on the fact that you failed.
Yes.
So I love that because, I mean, that means failure is not final. It's just feedback, right? And of course, like you're explaining, it's about the mindset that you must adopt in order to be able to shift that.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, many people internalize failure and see it as a reflection of their value as a person. How do you shift that kind of thinking, where you see failure, where you fail, and then you now see that as a reflection of you as a person? And I know you've got many words of wisdom that you've shared on your page, many words of wisdom, and I know you have something for me. I know you have something for me on that one.
Look, let's say you failed at a business. Let's say Saki Padi failed at this business. And then the question is, who was Saki Padi before the business, right? So if you start to identify yourself with a project, you say that this is what makes me me, right? You are not a DJ. When you were born, you're not a DJ, or you're not why do I like to know?
DJ.
I have many friends as DJs. So you are not born that. So if you fail at something that you are doing, right, it actually means that you were something else before you were that, right? Say for an example, people identify with things. So you have a partner and you never knew them before, right? But you were still you before that. So the problem that makes people minds to not work around failure is because you begin to identify yourself with a particular brand or with a particular person, right? And when you can't see yourself without them, yet you just made them. You never used to have a car. Now your car has been repossessed. Now you are depressed because of when the car was taken, the car was now you. You were the car.
A part of you is
lost. But for people who struggle with mental health, they think all their identity is the car or how they look or all of those things, external things. But when you look into yourself, but I never used to be this person. I never used to be the person who likes brands. Who am I without the brands?
Yeah.
You're still you, because at the end of the day, you're going to be Saki Padi without a car.
Yeah.
You're still going to be Saki Padi without the business. You're still going to be Saki Padi even if you are walking with Johnny Walker. You are still who you are.
Exactly.
And it's about working on the person that
yourself.
you are.
And that's why,
And the things that you have, they don't necessarily define who you are.
They don't define who you are.
You know.
I mean, if you look at the things you have, the reason why when a person dies, for an example, they leave all these things that you used to identify with. I'll give you an example. Right now, a lot of people at home, everybody's like, I'm a millionaire, we confess, which is good.
Nice.
Right? The truth is that not all of us are going to be millionaires, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, if you don't become a millionaire, are you not going to be happy? Are you not going to be yourself? Right? Are you not yourself without the millions?
The millions,
Right? Are you not yourself without the career path that you chose? Right? Are you are still you, right? And you can choose whatever direction else you take. For an example, if say I failed in the restaurant business, I could go to construction. I am still me. Right? Me changes from this. So every day we in the morning, you choose how your day is going to be. And even when you are not choosing, you are choosing. No, so you can choose to have a great day or a bad day. You can choose to have a great life or a bad life. You know what I mean? But every day you are choosing that life, right? And if you meet failure in the life that you've chosen, you might have made a poor choice, but it was still your choice.
It's your choice.
Right? So you failed at a choice that you have made. Now you have to sit down with you again and say, okay, Sharp, in fact, you have failed. What is it that you had to learn, right? Because if you don't learn, the universe will keep repeating that until you learn it.
That's true. And I love that because, you have dubbed yourself a student of life. And sometimes the best insights come from our lowest points or from experience. And life is the one experience nobody can get away from because as long as you're breathing, you have a life. So, what's one lesson failure taught you that success never could?
one thing that failure taught me
That's
is how
success.
strong I am, man.
Oh, I love
like
it.
it will teach you how resilient you are. You know when something hits today and you feel the business fails, you are in debt, you are in trouble, there are problems, right? And you are right there
In the
at your
middle.
darkest point, at a point that you don't think you'll recover from. And everybody goes through that once in their lives or more times. And someone right now at home, it's at that point, right? But what that point will teach you is that there is a hope for the living. That once you are still alive, there's hope for you. You know what I mean? It might seem like you can't get out of there. You know, you're at home, you don't have a job. You know what I mean? You've been applying. You know what I mean? All of you, it's so tough, it's so dark there, right? And you might think that the things that you try to do have failed. You might think that you are failing, right? But failure will teach you there that you can't give up now.
Yeah.
Right? You can't give up now. You have to keep on trying. So failure will show you how resilient you are. It will show you with your back against the wall that when you are rock bottom, you know what I mean? There's no like there's nothing else that could go wrong. Good, like everything is so wrong that anything else that could go wrong. Like you'll sit there and say like, what else could go wrong?
You've nothing to
Well,
lose.
like yes, what else? Like what else could go wrong? Like
Yeah.
there is nothing else that could go wrong. Like if you're late, there's nothing worse. You've lost people, you've lost businesses, you are unemployed, you are struggling with your next meal. You know what I mean? You are there. And failure at that time, that position of life, you know, you have to decide on that day that you're not going to give up.
Yeah.
You know.
Interesting, man. Interesting.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for those
Beautiful.
words. Beautiful words, right?
Yeah, man.
Mwekezi, like very beautiful words. And of course, because this week we will be spotlighting and showcasing the participants in the Youth Business Launchpad.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone is listening today and is feeling like a failure, what's one message you'd want them to carry into this new week as we are, heading into, the market day for the Youth Business Launchpad? Those young minds, those new businesses, those ones who are coming up. What is your message for them, Saki Padi?
The message for them is that, number one, you have chosen this, you know why you started this, and your why must be greater than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, when you feel like you're failing, why did I start this? Why did Mwekezi start this?
Yeah.
I mean, Mwekezi, you probably have a dream to broadcast. No, Mwekezi is broadcasting all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, and you've chosen for Mwekezi how Mwekezi is going to live. Right?
Yeah.
And because you've chosen that, if failure comes, how important is what Mwekezi wants? How important is the goal? Right? Is failure to today going to distract you from the goal? Are you going to feel like you have failed because today things did not go well, right? Now there's a quote I like. It says that fall down 8 times, stand up 9.
Oh.
You know, so every time you fall, you stand up again, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like so a person who never gives up is such a strong thing, right? And if you ask anybody who's ever made it in any field, they will tell you that they failed so many times, but they had to keep on starting.
I have a quote here by you, Mr. Saki Padi, that we love, and a final word that I have for the Vuga Nation for this Motivational Monday. Be a hero. Despite facing setbacks or failures, heroes demonstrate the courage to recover and move forward. It's not about being invincible, but about resilience and determination. Heroism is not limited to grand acts, but can be found in the small, courageous acts of daily life. Heroism is accessible to all, regardless of their background or circumstances. And the quote of the day from Saki Padi is, a definition of a hero is a man that falls down and still has the courage to get up and dust himself.
Profound and
Get up,
powerful.
get up today.
I
Get up
love
today.
it. So, Vuga Nation, if you've ever failed, good. It means you tried, as you've heard Saki Padi has said. And if you're still standing, it means you're stronger than you think. Thank you to Mr. Saki Padi for reminding us that failure is not a dead end, but a detour, which is often to something greater. So, Vuga Nation, keep pushing, keep learning, and above all, keep moving forward, because success isn't built on perfection.
Oh, yeah.
It's built on persistence.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, that has been your motivational Monday. Now go out there and fail forward.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for having me. God bless you. Wow. Yeah. Who is the motivational speaker? Yeah, this lady is strong. Yeah, you're powerful.
She's running away with it, man. She's running
powerful,
away.
this one, eh?
And then before we go, we had Ntombigai Shlachwa saying, Paddington, always looking forward, my friend. And then Gasto coming saying, Mr. Saki Padi is cooking. We shouldn't be afraid of failure, but we should learn and come back 10 times stronger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
Cook, man.
But
Let him cook.
Man, let's cook.
Let him cook.
Let him cook, man. Thank you so much, man, for taking your time. And we hope that, we will see you again right here on this wonderful Monday motivation segment, to speak everything motivation, because people are losing hope out there.
Yep.
Others are having the mentality of being hopeless. But it's people like you who give them hope, and bring back the joy that they used to have in their
And
lives.
transform their weeks like we do
man.
here on the
yeah.
Booger Breakfast Show.
Of course, man.
Booger breakfast.
Their week is transformed, man.
Yeah,
That was Mr. Saki Padi right here, the student of life. I hope that you enjoyed that conversation.